I would say that it's better that you are a giver rather than a taker. Like I would get comfortable with that. And I would say that if I had a choice between the two, I would always be the giver. Generally, I think it's a very, very good mentality to have. So I think part of this is actually accepting that this is who I am, and this is a good thing, and this is beneficial for me and for my akhirah, my relationship with Allah, and my relationship with humanity and all that. So one element is to know that you're on the right path, that the whole giving thing is the right place to be. Right? Now the question is, how do you deal with the other side of things, which is kind of like going out of it? Now, one thing I think is that although you're very good at giving, you need to become better at taking. And this is part of the problem, right? Like that we ourselves are not really good at taking. Like for me personally, like I just feel a bit uncomfortable. Like if I go out to eat with someone and someone pays for my food, I feel a bit uncomfortable. Right? But the way I kind of started to try and get over it was thinking that imagine that I could never ever give to anyone because they never allowed me to give, right? It's not a nice prospect to think that you could never ever give to someone. So I think there's an element of you need to kind of talk to yourself and say, look, it's okay for me to take, and I have to allow other people to give to me as well, because like I said, being someone who's a giver, part of giving is actually stopping other people from giving you. So first thing I would say is like make sure that you give the chance to other people to give to you. The second thing I would say is that some of this is about communication, right? So one of the reasons why we feel resentment is because we haven't communicated openly how we feel. And sometimes what happens is that we think that because if I was to actually voice my concern, it would mess the relationship up. But I would say the resentment internally messes the relationship up more, right? Yeah. So let's imagine that, like, you know, I'm going to dinner with my friends or my brother or something, and every time we go, I always pay, right? And internally, I'm starting to feel like, man, like they should pay sometime, right? It is better for me that I actually verbalize that and speak to them and get that out rather than keeping it inside. It's more dangerous for the relationship for me to keep it inside than to verbalize it. So at some point, I need to just bring that out. And depending upon who it is, you need to, like, if it was my brothers, I just say, bruv, what is this, man? All the time I'm paying. You need to sort it out. You need to pay. Okay. With my friends, maybe I'll be a little bit more tactful, a bit different. But the point is that I really think that if you communicate it out, that is actually better for the relationship, rather than fearing that, you know, maybe if I communicate, it might actually make it worse as well. That sometimes it's not money, it's about time and all these kind of things, right? Now, this is what I'm saying. Part of the whole letting other people give to you, another part of that is actually the ability to say no, right? Yeah. So when someone asks you for something, at some point actually saying no and saying, no, I can't actually do that. So I'm saying whatever the thing is, whether it's money, I just gave you money because it's a very practical example. Even if it's something else, the principle is the same, that giving is good. But when it comes down to it, you know, you have to allow yourself to let others give to you. And if they are failing to give to you, then you need to kind of communicate that to yourself, right? And then one last thing I would say is that remember that there are ways for you to get without getting from human beings, right? So for example, like you might go and I might go to dinner with a guy, right? And I know this guy's never going to pay the bill, okay? And I might feel resentment towards that. But at the same time, in my heart, I'm like, look, Allah, I'm going and I'm paying the bill for you, right? I'm going to go and I'm going to be good. I'm going to let him order whatever he wants. I'm going to encourage him to order more, but I'm paying the bill for you, right? Okay. And so then what that does is in my mind, it really gets rid of the resentment. It's like I'm paying for Allah's food, like as in like the guy's food for Allah, right? So in that way, it really makes things easier when I have to do things for other people that I know I'm not going to get recognized for or paid for. It's having that long-term belief that when I stand in front of Allah and I did this thing, I did it purely for Allah. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to spend my money. I didn't want to do it again and again and again. But just to make Allah happy, I did this thing. So that knowledge, it actually removes that resentment and it actually makes it an opportunity for you, which you can feel really good about.